Hey everybody, Hawk here. Got all the cameras recording, and yeah, it's daylight spending time. Lost an hour last night. I'm tired. I don't know about you guys. So, this afternoon, um, this afternoon, it's time to wrap up those drum fills and get everything prepared, get the session prepared for vocal recording. That'll be an interesting one. Next session, I'm going to sing on camera. Hopefully you guys can show up for that one. That'll be, let's see, this is 7, that'll be chat number 8, Sunday session number 8. Be interesting to see how that one goes. But today, it's pretty straightforward. We're just taking care of getting things prepped. The drum fills finished and prepped, and all the tracks prepped for Pro Tools. Yes, I'm going to track in Pro Tools. I don't want to track inside of a native system, which is the Ableton Live, because, like I said, I can't stand latency, and I want to make sure that I don't have any latency issues when I'm tracking my vocals, and that's why I'm moving to the TDM system, the DSP card based TDM system for tracking the vocals. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll put down some guitar too after I get the vocals recorded. So it's the same type of thing. When I'm tracking, I like to be working in Pro Tools. But before I do that, I was just taking a quick listen to this. I'll give you a little preview. I'm going to do a review of this thing right here. This is the Behringer Model D. I'm sorry, I can't say Model D. The Behringer D. It's an analog 3 VCO analog synth for a copy of the venerable Moog Model D, and it retails for $300 by Behringer, and it sounds amazing. It's not perfect, but for being a recreation of the Model D that starts at $3,500 for the reissue and then goes all the way up to $8,000 for the actual vintage, this thing for $300, it's pretty amazing. So I created some loops from it last night. I'll play these for you so you can check them out. And so I figured the best way to really actually review this was to use it and to create a track with it. So I'm forming the all of the patches as I'm going. This doesn't have any presets, which is one of its, for me personally, it's a downside. I know there's people that like to work that way, but man, when I write something, when I create a sound, I like to save it as a preset. But that's not happening on this. I knew that when I got into it. That's why I don't personally get into the Eurorack stuff, because I like saving presets. It also doesn't respond to MIDI continuous controllers, which was a surprise because it has MIDI on it, but it really is a recreation of the original Model D with its shortcomings, a few updates in terms of some of the modulation sources, but yeah, anyway. So I'll play it all together and then I'll solo some of the tracks for you. So it's pretty cool. One of the things that was really interesting, I'm writing this one inside of Reason, and I'm writing it in Reason because I like the players and the arpeggiators inside of Reason. So one thing, every time I wrote a patch, I had to make sure that that patch was in tune. So up on my top screen here, I actually had Reason's little tuner up here all the time so that I could make sure that the bass line, the arpeggiators, whatever tone I was creating was in tune and dependent on what was happening with the voices that I was using and the filters and the amp envelope, I had to constantly tweak it up, make sure it was in tune, just like the real analog Model D. So pretty tweaky. Anyway, that one was, by the way, that one was on, that was, like I said, I was doing it in Reason. There's Reason. So every time I wrote a track, I wrote it, and then I would dump it off as an audio track there. Okay, but let's get back to the song production. So I always wait a beat for after I close one program before I open the next program. Make sure that the computer's buffers are cleared out and that the audio interface is going to address the new program. And then I will open, so I quit Reason and now I'm going to open Live. Also didn't want Reason to end up in rewire mode yet. I have to make sure that I open it next because we do have that tambourine. So I have a message on the machine here saying, there's my mouse, Live last program run was abnormally aborted. It is likely that this happened because a corrupt audio driver. Yeah, okay, whatever. Audio is disabled. So first thing I need to go into my options and make sure, preferences, sorry, and make sure that my audio is turned on here. This case I'm using the, actually I don't need my inputs, but I'll go ahead and assign them right now. So DigiDesign, hardware interface for the 192 I/O. Make sure we're at 4824. All right, that's good. Go and find the song. And we are on version CEF. Probably going to go ahead and track that tambourine too, because I'm getting tired of launching Reason in the background as a rewire slave. Don't have to do that. While that's launching, I'm not sure why it's launching. Let me check and see what's going on over here. Hey, Kieran. Good question. Yes, I believe that the audio interfaces are better and worse, depending obviously on, well, two main things. First, the analog to digital converter and the D to A and the A to D, both directions, right? And also the drivers, the software drivers. The converter that I'm talking about using when I'm tracking is plugged into DSP cards. So similar to what else uses DSP cards these days? The Universal Audio can access DSP via the which one? Thunderbolt port, and so that's another one that uses DSP. But the old school ones, the original ones, were the DigiDesign, then soon became Avid, and it gets pretty expensive. I think these days the preamps and the digital audio and audio to digital converters have definitely improved in quality over the past 10, 15 years in terms of the price point. But when you pay more money for one of those converters, you definitely get a better quality of digital to analog and analog to digital converters. And of course, this is what you are recording and what you are hearing. So I can't speak to which companies are providing the digital analog converters, where Apogee gets theirs from versus what's a cheap one? Boy, I better not mention any names. What's a cheap one? But one of the less expensive digital analog converters, the audio interfaces. So where do they get their digital analog converters? I did a shootout years ago. I did a shootout with them. And sound quality wise, you can hear a difference between a $4,000 audio interface versus a $400 audio interface. So 10 times price difference, and the $400 interface sounded thinner, lacked in clarity and depth in terms of its sound. So yeah, there you go. Remember, guys, I'm not always able to catch the questions on here because I've got to go over to my laptop and either zoom in on my laptop or zoom in or put my glasses on so I can see the screen all the way over here. Really, I would say read the reviews, look at the price point that you can afford, and then take a listen to them if you can. If there's any way of listening to them. I would have to say the new Focusrite. Focusrite has been known for really good, some really good boxes back in the day. And then they have this less expensive line, and then they have, I can't remember the names of them. There's this Scarlet, and then there's that new one that they came out with, which definitely they've improved the converters in the new box, and it costs a little bit more money. I think it's worth the extra money. Because I think it is worth the extra money, because it's one of those points, your studio is only as strong as the weakest element, the weakest part in your signal chain, right? So, and what you're recording in, man, and what you're hearing out, that is just so critical. Anyway, this is up. The only thing I have to do here is make sure that, well, it's up, but it's sitting here spinning its wheel, which is not good. Let's see, we have no sound. All right. Live is not responding. I need to force this quit on live here. Should have been doing that while I was talking. as as much as computers help us to create music faster, to do digital photography and artwork faster, there's also an enormous amount of time spent waiting around for the computer to do its thing. So it's nice to have an acoustic instrument around if you're waiting for something to render, something to copy, a program to stop being frozen. So you can pick up your instrument and practice, play, whether it's finger drumming or it's playing piano or guitar. Second time in a row, I have no idea what this thing's problem is. Try it once more here. If I can't get live to launch this time, I'll need to restart my computer. Yay, it's up. Let's make sure that, so this time I will reset my audio drivers. They're set. Good deal. And before I even open the other session file, I'm going to quit live again, just to make sure that it shuts down properly. Because if I keep forcing it, if I keep trying to open and forcing it to quit, opening and forcing it to quit, pretty much guarantee you it's going to just poop out at some point in time. I'll have to restart my computer. So that took a while for it to quit, but it did quit successfully. That's good. So now I should be able to open it with the right drivers, and we should be good. Live is up and running. Audio drives are on. Let's open the session now. Version 1F. Wow, this is taking a long time to open the session. It's open. No spinning ball. That looks promising. Looks like Push has gone to sleep because I started and restarted and stopped too many times to make sure that we got everything up here. What the heck is going on here? Okay, I gotta restart. What fun. Even though this is a desktop computer, I installed SDD drives in this from my main operating system, so it actually starts and restarts really quickly. So this time, I'll start Ableton Live first before I start ScreenFlow, because that might have been part of the problem. I can hear the Avid audio interfaces resetting their digital clocks over there when I launch live. Make sure live is playing here of its own accord. Get push working here. Sometimes when I restart, the USB port goes to sleep. Better get ScreenFlow going here. It was just me checking the mic on ScreenFlow. So I've got Ableton Live open right now, but it's not playing back. So there we go. Had to double check the audio input driver. And that should be good to go. That looked more promising. This time it actually opened quickly. Just jump right up to the chorus section here. Just got to open the rewire slave real quickly here. So I'm just going to double click on the Reason song file, version 1F. Remember, I'm saving the versions, make sure that they're coordinated. There's my tambourines. So I'm going to start from the top and listen to the drum fills I have at this point. Just turning the drum fills down. They're all too loud at the moment. I'm just going to turn them all down by 5 dB. So just adjusting some volumes on them, and I like the way they sound with a couple of fine tunes on the volumes. And I think the very first thing I'm going to do is, because the tambourines don't need much, I'm just going to go ahead and track those tambourines out. So I'm going to start by saving this. Save live set as. New version today. F, G. And this is going to be the last version with the tambourine, so I don't need to save the rewire session because I'm about to track that. And Push is still asleep. Sleep at the helm. Come on, Push. There's Push. I'm going to switch this so you guys can see what's happening on Push. And I'll switch back and forth here. So the first thing, this will be pretty easy, is just going in here and finding my, there's my reason tambourine right there. And of course that is a MIDI performance. Reason tambourine MIDI performance. So I'm going to want to create an audio track. And I'll name this tambourine. And I'm just going to track this through here. Save a little time here. I'll just track this section. These are all the same. Oh, it's different there, and that one's different there. So I had a couple of changes here on the arrangement of the tambourines, so I'll just track them out all the way through. So my input on this is going to be the reason tambourine. Set this to in. Turn off this track here. Make sure that we're hearing the input. And even though this is a virtual instrument, I still want to make sure that the input on this track is as loud as possible. So I'm coming out of the stereo outputs, and I'll just make sure that I'll just turn up the reason devices by an equal amount here. I'll just crank these both up here. Should be nice and loud. That's a nice robust signal, and it's not clipping. I don't think I'm going to need any louder than that, so that should be fine. So let's just track that out here. auto for that now. And let's record. Okay, so that's tracked out, and of course now I'm just going to go ahead and double check the recording. And adjust the volume on that. Setting a little reverb and delay on it. And now I'm done with that. I'm going to mute the tracks or the clips, the previous clips, So selecting the clips, pressing 0, and turn off that particular track. I'm going to color change it to gray like I usually do, just to indicate that I'm done with it, and move it to the bottom of my list. Fold it up, move it to the bottom of my list. Just holding on to the MIDI performance, but I don't need it, and I can conserve some computer resources here by now quitting Reason. Don't need to save that. And now I am just on version 1G. Save live set, and my tambourines are tracked. And for the sake of time now, I've got the drum fills written, and I'm going to not try and modify these at the moment, but I'm actually going to just be copying this section with the drum fills and the crashes through. I'll modify them later after the vocals are done. Delete all these crashes here. And so there's verse 1, and here is verse 1 here, and there's my cymbal. And so that's a downbeat cymbal there, and that's a downbeat cymbal there, and you can see that there's color coded. I've already color coded them so that I know that they're the same cymbals, which is great. I've got that ride section there. So basically, I can select this so it's chorus, then verse, select this all the way up to here, and that's what I want to copy through now. And I can just simply grab this and drag it over here. And it's the same thing here, and then at the end we have something different for the outro. So I want the crash cymbal on that section there, and make sure that sounds okay. You got to be careful of that, because sometimes, fortunately, I got undo here. Let's make sure I slid this in place properly time-wise. Weird. For some reason, the third verse got out of time. So click that. Should be able to just D it over. Oh, I see what I did. So that's the outro. So the next section is a verse and a chorus without the outro. So here, up through here, copy this over. What is that? Sometimes you gotta go in to Ableton Live, I found, and make sure that your clips are trimmed properly. I find that sometimes it will drop a note at the beginning of a clip that's hanging over on top of another clip, even though it's a MIDI clip, and it shouldn't be doing that. It's my post-chorus. That's why. So verse here, ride. Just gotta zoom in sometimes. That should be it there. But see that? It's late. Why is it doing that? So one thing I find that's helpful is literally to zoom in, make sure that the clip, if it's a MIDI clip, isn't actually touching there. Make sure that, so that's the verse. So I'm coming in with the verse here. And I think this is the problem here. Clip that, move this back a little bit here. That's strange behavior there. See, there's nothing in this one here. There's nothing in this. Delete that one. From that verse to that ride cymbal and that fill, hold down Option, drag it over. So then this core section here, like I mentioned, I'm going to go in and work with these fills more later, but for now this is fine. And this one here will repeat, Command D, repeat that section. There we go. Just double check everything, make sure everything's in time here. So another thing that I've noticed, and this is particularly with Ableton Live and swing features, is that I can be in here and I've just copied a region over right here. Right here. Copied a region over on that chorus section, and right there, the kick drum is doubling up on itself. So I need to make sure that that section is clean. Solo the track. I thought I heard it. There it is, right there. That kick drum right there. Right there. And it doesn't happen every time. But I can hear it slamming on top of each other. So my solution has been to go in and take that clip and push it back. And that's a problem if you have to copy things through, but because I can't duplicate that because then the next clip will come up short. But you've got to do that in order to get rid of that timing discrepancy, which I believe is being caused by the MPC swing. And now it's clean. And there's another one right there. So you've got to watch out for this. Every program has its own idiosyncrasies, and that is an annoying one. So I hear it happening on a lot of these sections. So I'm just going to actually listen through to the whole drum track before I bounce this out to Pro Tools. Sounds good. Saving that. Also, before I bounce out, I want to double check the timing on the tambourines. Seemed like they were a little late, and I believe they are. I want to tighten those up. So even in rewire mode, you can have latency on these guys, and I can see latency actually. They're a little after the beat here. You noticed I had done that previously with the audio tracks that I had bounced out from the hardware instruments, and I can see the same issue here with the tambourine on the rewire mode as well. So I'm going to go to the center here and scoot. You can see where it's supposed to be on that downbeat there, and it's way after it. So move that up, take a listen to it. So I wanted a little after the beat, but not quite as much as was tracked. That'll work. And then just to make sure that it doesn't get moved out of position, I'll snap the edges. And now I am ready to and now I'm ready to bounce this out. So I'm going to save that, and I want to stem these out. Starting from 0, we have a tempo of 100 beats per minute. Scoot that up there. So on the live screen here, set my, so I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to go all the way to the end here. That looks like bar 79, so from 1 to 79, and I can go into Live's export audio, and I'm going to grab all these individual tracks, all that's right. I don't want to grab all the individual tracks because I don't want to grab all those tracks that I'm not using. I only want the tracks that I'm listening to here, which is, so I can select them. I can select this one all the way down to the ASR mono. So all those, so drums, cymbals, tambourine, the monologue bass, the Moog bass, the ESQ1 bells, the ESQ1 snaps, DW strings, and the ASR 10 mono plucky sound. And I think I'll grab the reverb, return, and delay as well. I'm not sure if I'll need them, but so I think non-contiguous, that would be command. So shift, so drums and shift, hold down shift, hit mono, then command to grab, no, it's not letting me grab those. That's strange. Why isn't it letting me grab those? That's it there. That's odd. It's not letting me grab those. Okay, fine. Forget them. Non-contiguous tracks, it's hold down command and select the track, but it wasn't letting me do it. But 1 to 79, those are the tracks I really need. Live file export audio, and 48 to 24, yes. 1, 2. Gotta watch that. It doesn't automatically, the render length doesn't automatically pick up. We know it was 79. It wasn't 78. 78. Don't need to render as loop. 24-bit, yes. And project will be rendered at 48 kilohertz. Render will occur in real time due to a rewire or external instrument. So any of those external instrument devices that I have in this, and I don't want to get rid of those MIDI tracks. I really don't want to get rid of those MIDI tracks right now. So I have to render it in real time. If you don't have an external instrument, you would, right here, you'd be able to render this in offline, so it would be faster than real time. But because of the external instrument plugins that I have in here, those devices, external instrument MIDI devices, I have to do it in real time. So, okay. And it's going to ask me where I want it. And for now, I'm putting it on my desktop temporarily. And I'm going to create a new folder for it. Call it the name of the song, the version of the song, which was 1G, stems, and go OK. So there it is, and do that. So now it's going to be rendering this in real time. And at that, I'm going to go grab a glass of water and come back. So it's just going to have to do that for a minute here. Change cameras. We don't need to watch that. It's like watching grass grow. Cleanup, startup. Only cache was not found. Okay. Did that bounce the tracks all the way out? Sounded like it did. I got a prompt saying I want to clean up its cache. There's the stems. So I'm going to check the stems here. Rendering issues. Yeah, it didn't even put the stems in the folder. That was cute. All right, so here's the deal now. If that happens, I'm just going to have to do it. I'm going to have to live large and delete those tracks. So I'm deleting all of the external instrument tracks, or which my MIDI tracks, and just going bye-bye. So as of version 1G, I will not have any more external instruments in here. And now I should be able to render this in non-real time. I'll put you on the screen here so we can see what this looks like. So export this time and this time. Yes, project will be rendered at 48K, so we no longer have that prompt down there at the bottom. You can't see that. Prompt there. Before it said must be rendered in real time. And set that to 79 again. And let's try that again. Already created the stems, track there, and oh, from mastered, render track master, all individual tracks. I want to actually selected tracks. Actually, this time I can do all individual tracks. It's right. 79, okay, all individual tracks. And so I don't have to select them. Before I was trying to do it, I actually forgot to select, but just the selected tracks. And you can see in here, right here, there is a selected tracks option. But now we're just going to do all individual tracks in real time. Boom, let's do it. There. That's rendering. Shouldn't take too long now. Whoa, that was fast. All right. So yeah, that's something I've noticed about those external instruments. You have to get rid of the tracks. I mean, technically, I guess I could just get rid of the external instrument and not get rid of the MIDI performance. That would be an option. And there are the tracks. Yay! Let's I don't think that's gonna play. I'm going to open this, I want to double check before I go. So I'm going to open it with QuickTime 10.2. That's on. We're good. Got a render. We're good. Awesome. Back to Ableton Live. And I'm going to quit that. Now we're all done with that one. And it's time to launch Pro Tools and bring the tracks in Pro Tools. Before I do that, webcam out of the way. Point. I'm going to be working with Pro Tools. I'm not going to be working with Push. And I have some cables here and a power cord that I have set up and just hanging over here, and this allows me to grab my controller and plug my controller in. This is Huey from 1998. These are really old controllers, but they're amazing controllers. I'm still using them. Whenever I can find one used, I'll just pick it up. The only one that even comes close, in my opinion, these days, in terms of being a great Pro Tools controller. Yeah, there's the Avid controllers, but I'm not a fan of those. I don't like the way they feel. The only one that, to me, feels solid, feels really good, is the Nucleus by SSL. But that one, I feel strongly that it's too expensive. It's like $6,000, and at the time this one was $3,500, $3,000. No, it's actually I think it might have been $2,600. So it was a mid-priced controller. And now you can pick them up on the used market for about $500. So let me show you what's going on here, and I'll go ahead and launch Pro Tools. So you can see a little bit of the screen and a little bit of the Huey controller. So when I create a new session, session template, notice that I've lost all of my, this is Pro Tools HD 10, the last version of Pro Tools that works with my HD cards. And I have lost all of my fonts, and I can't figure out, I've been trying to figure out how to get them back, but they're gone. So I'm going to create a blank session. Unfortunately, I know where pretty much everything is in Pro Tools, so I don't necessarily actually need to see the fonts. 48 kilohertz, 24-bit, yes, that's what I want. And they were WAV files, yes. And for now, I'm going to momentarily, I'm putting this on the desktop just to get this set up. Then I'll copy it onto my working drive. Name of this song, version, and then vocal work. And the version of the vocal work is 1A. Actually, don't need that yet until I actually get into the session file. Desktop, yes. And set my tempo to the songs tempo. Create a stereo master fader. And actually minus stereo master fader, yes. And a click track. And now I'm going to just import all those audio files. Old school style import audio. I don't need them warped or anything like that. Just go to my stems folder and I think that's the mix output there. So there's the reverb. I'll just bring everybody in for now, and I'm going to copy them so they go into the actual Pro Tools folder, but I don't need to convert them because I'm using the native format that I had rendered out of Ableton Live. Audio files, yes, that's where I want it. Open, and it's going to import those or copy them in. Really, that's all it's doing is just copying them in. New tracks, yes. I have to make sure that I have Huey alive, so I have to go to my peripherals and turn on Huey. MIDI controllers, the type is Huey, receive from Huey, and send to Huey. Make sure that my I/O is set up properly on the other screen there. And there's everybody. So now I can go through here and actually work directly on my surface here. And get these tracks organized. This, I'm going to go to grid mode. I'm going to make sure my grid's at 1 bar, make it easy for me to get in and out here. And the first thing I want to do is put the drums at the top. what tracks? I'm gonna, since this is, I'm gonna save this, save as, this is gonna be version 1A. In that folder, yes, save. After a while, these faders start getting old, and I start losing motor connection on some of these faders. They're all labeled the same right now. So go through here and start labeling these. Reverb, ASR, delay, cymbals. Usually after the machine warms up, it'll stop having that problem with a fader. Drums. See the name starting to show up here. Strings, ESQ bell, ESQ snaps, monologue, Moog, that's a sub bass, tambourine, and that must be all the way over here. That must be the mix. We don't need that track. Hide and make inactive. And go make all these tracks a little bit smaller. All right, on the screen, go ahead and pull the drums up to the top. Drums on top. And next, I will want the cymbals. And after the cymbals, I want the tambourine. Then I want the bass. So the monologue is my bass, and the sub bass is the Moog, and I'll leave the reverb and the delay on the other side of the click. And strings for my chords next. I'll do the ASR next. The ESQ1 bells. And then the snaps. That makes sense to me. Just the reverb returns. Let's put some markers in here so I know what the heck I'm doing when I'm actually working on the song. The first one is going to be the intro, right? So I can hit enter. I can also hit enter on the keypad over here, which is great because all of Another nice thing about the Huey is that all the basic commands are listed on here. I've got Option, Shift, Control, Alt, and Enter over here. So as I'm playing, that's obviously the intro. So hit Enter, intro. And so I just dumped all those down in real time as I was going. So now I just hit end. So as it was rolling, I marked all of these sections of my song. Return to 0. There's the whole song. So now I can easily jump to wherever I need to be. If I need to work on the chorus section. And the very last thing I need to do, just to make sure the whole session's ready, is I will create some audio tracks that I'm going to be recording on. Usually I like to work on 3 versions, depending on whether there's background vocals, another 3, so 6 total, and then a scratch track. So I'll just start with 4 for now. So 4 mono audio tracks, and 1 will be my main input, and I want to make sure that they are all set to So I hit the mix button here. I'm going to go to my mix screen or my edit screen. I have two monitors up, so it doesn't matter here at the moment, but I'm going to go and make sure that all of my inputs here are set to audio input 5 and interface audio input 5, A5 on everything, because that's my mic preamp for, well, one of my mic preamps. The mic preamp that I want to use, which is my Avalon preamp for vocals, and that's all set and ready to go. Turn that one on. Input. And save this. And now on this screen, all I have to do, because I'm going to quit Pro Tools now. Pro Tools is all ready to go. I thought I just saved that session. Save the session. And there are the stems and my vocal work. I'm going to copy both of these into my working folder here. So right in the project here, that's the Ableton Live project. So I'm going to create a new folder in here. Put the Ableton Live folder in there. And then copy those two works over there. And while I'm waiting for that to copy, I have a 250 gigabyte SDD glyph drive that I use for tracking. It's an SDD drive, so it's not super big. So I don't store a bunch of stuff. It basically has all my current projects on it that I'm busy tracking. So there's like 3 or 4 projects that I'm tracking right now. And I'll go ahead and take the Pro Tools Only You vocal work and copy that over onto that drive. So it's ready for me to work on that drive. Curious to see how big that one is. That one's only 676 megabytes. And I'm always checking this drive because I'll just pull projects on and off of it as I need to for whatever I'm tracking. And I've got 95 gigabytes left. That's plenty of space for tracking vocals. And I'm going to color code it green to let me know that it's ready to go. Green, ready to go. And I can literally just, now that I've got this backed up onto my my main drive, my main project drive, and then my working drive, I can literally get rid of these 2 folders, move to trash. We're good. I accidentally hit Command 2 and rearranged all the folders on my desktop. That was not cool. Alrighty. And that's it for today. Next week I will set up and do the vocals for this song so that we can move to the final production and mix down. Ta-da! Just checking questions here. Hey Jared, is that controller Pro Tools specific? Yes. The Huey is, well, the Huey uses this Mackie protocol, and it's called Huey, Human User Interface. And there are other programs that can address the Huey protocol. But the Huey protocol is mainly for Pro Tools in that I think Logic addresses the Huey protocol, but Logic also addresses logic control. But the Huey protocol was specifically designed for interfaces to work with Pro Tools, so any interface that does the Huey protocol can do it. This particular one will work with Logic. I've seen it work with Logic. I've actually used it with Logic before. So it's not just Pro Tools specific. But the Mackie Universal Control has more modes and is capable of working with more DAW programs. But the Mackie Universal Control, which is the follow-up to this one, is okay, but it's not nearly as plush. I mean, this has the meters and individual knobs for all of the plugins. It's great. So this is a really good one. These guys are getting harder to find. I tried to get one on eBay recently that said it was like in mint condition, and somebody outbid me. You're welcome. I saw people come in earlier, and it looks like not everybody could stay till the bitter end, but this is a pretty short session today. And like I said, next week, we're just going to hit the vocals, and that's the goal for next Sunday, is just get the vocals done. Even if I don't do vocal performance that I'm like super happy with, that's going to be the final vocal performance. At the very least, we'll go through the process to show you the way it all works, and tracking when you're on your own, and how I do it in Pro Tools when I'm tracking. And then maybe I'll mess around with some guitar or just get those back into the main live session where we finish up the final production. Coolio. Thanks for being here, and till next time, see you soon. Have a great week. Ciao.